Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Is everyone enjoying their meals? Everyone's eating. You see the no claps. All right, well, we're very, very excited for our luncheon sessions, if I can get your attention. A couple housekeeping notes. Hopefully you've been enjoying the breakout sessions so far. I know that I've attended a few and it's been absolutely fantastic, and a few of the rooms really standing room only, so happy to see the participation and the engagement in these efforts. If you like these breakout sessions, go to your Whova app and make sure that you are on the polling feature, giving us your feedback on the breakouts. We'll ask you about that for the general conference as well, but again, keep giving us your comments, keep giving us your feedback on the Whova app. Without much further ado, though, I want to recognize a couple of our key partners that really do a lot for the cybersecurity community at large, but also do a lot to support us at the NICE conference to make this conference as affordable as possible by offsetting some of our costs. But our first speaker is truly a professional. Over 30 years of experience across North America in cybersecurity education, training, workforce development. Susan Green is National Director for Cyberbit currently, and she's expanded Cyberbit partnership with institutions of higher education across the world with particular interest in increasing women leaders in cybersecurity. So without much further ado, I'd like to welcome to the stage Ms. Susan Green.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. This is absolutely a privilege. I guess I want to get started by saying, I don't know if anyone knows this or not, but why did the cybersecurity professor quit his job? I guess he couldn't hack it anymore. So anyway, I'm Susan Green. I'm responsible for state local education at Cyberbit, and I'm really super passionate about the educational sector. The educational sector frees all. You know, I'm very passionate about this space. I'm that kid that went to bed cold, tired, and hungry, and I know what it's like for education and what it's done for me in my life. So today's conversation will be surrounding rebooting cybersecurity education. It's interesting now, as we start to talk to a lot of higher education institutions, that they're realizing that it's just not good enough and things really need to change. So when you look at rebooting a computer, for example, you're rebooting the hard drive, you're reloading the operating system. In the case of movies, you may be looking at the next generation of Batman or, oh my goodness, James Bond. I guess he always gets the girl. But anyway, let's get into it. Whoop. There we go. Okay. So basically, we're going to talk a little bit about our 5 observations based on the million sessions that we've conducted, the tens of thousands of enterprises and student users that we've had the great privilege to serve, and then the work that we've done across about 100 or so different campuses. We have also worked with well over 1,000 higher education institutions and various enterprise teams that have participated in the Collegiate Cup. So experiential learning really goes mainstream, and I think the value that we bring as an organization is we have a hyper-realistic simulation environment with real networks, real firewalls, real proxies. So we are providing students with a real immersive, hyper-realistic environment with real networks, real firewalls, real proxies. There's a traffic generator, attack machine, and we've actually, if you look at this graph, you'll see that we have actually onboarded 50% more students just in the last quarter, and there's been a dramatic uptick of 2x live fire cyber range exercises. And that really does matter. Now, this is where the magic is. If you look at this particular slide, 86% of the graduates found jobs within 6 months. That's absolutely fantastic and really important as we try to solve for all these open positions. 10% actually scored above average salaries, which is really exciting. And student enrollment has increased. We know this, we see this quite often. There's a master's program out in Las Vegas. They started with us in January of 2022. And by the latter part of the year, they asked for 20% more licenses. They ended up going back on holiday break, came back, and they added 30%. So these programs are really growing by leaps and bounds, and that's really exciting from our vantage point. So I think a key component is the Cyber Hub strategy. So a Cyber Hub strategy is a strategy where either a state is actually leading the way where they are training different businesses, doing teaching and learning with the different institutions. And typically you'll find in some cases that different states will fund in different ways. So if you look at the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which is CyberTrust, I don't see them on the slide here, but they're pretty interesting. What they're solving for is they're putting academic institutions up on a cyber range to ensure that students are getting workforce ready. Their strategy is to start with higher ed and then move into municipalities. University of Maine at Augusta, that's another example of a cyber hub. They actually have a student-led program where they are replicating the environment of the emergency management team up in Maine, all led by students under the orchestration of Dr. Henry Felch. UTSA, their strategy is to actually train 1 million folks over the next year. So there's a lot of importance to the work that's being done from a cyber hub perspective. I know that you all are very familiar with getting grants. Grants are great, but they tend to expire. So what we've seen with this hub strategy is many of these organizations will generate revenue by going to market, packaging up curriculum around their range, and then generating revenue. A great example of this would be Purdue, for example. They've been doing some game-changing stuff across the world. Fayetteville Tech, that is the 3rd largest higher education institution in North Carolina. They are doing a lot of work with military families. They are also doing a lot of state work at the state of North Carolina. They're also looking at running a crisis simulation exercise or digital tabletop on steroids, as I would call it. So these hubs are really, really super important. We're starting to see them all across the country, and these are just a few examples. So mobilization really does start with the faculty. So how do you do this? You do it a few different ways. You build awareness at the leadership level, ensuring that the leadership is actually buying into the strategy of modifying your curriculum and going to market with different creative ways to generate revenue with the end goal of ensuring that students are workforce ready. We've seen faculty where they will look across their curriculum and do a programmatic assessment, just not by a particular course only, but across an entire curriculum. And they will assess the curriculum and determine what types of content would best benefit the curriculum that, that they are leveraging across their institution. And then competency-based education. I've had the great fortune to work with Southern New Hampshire University doing the largest LMS migration in the world. CBE is definitely the way to go. I would encourage each and every institution to start looking at competency-based education because it definitely aligns with not only the nice KSANTs, but really mastery of skills, right? And then creating interdisciplinary cybersecurity initiatives across different departments. So for example, if you could get a faculty member that is well-versed in psychology, getting them engaged with a cyber operations center team to understand what the implications are and the stress for cybersecurity professionals as they go through an actual ransomware attack, for example. And then engaging students with flexible, different types of learning elements, whether it's an internship program, whether it's a competition, NCL, collegiate club, all these things do really matter because the more experienced cybersecurity students get, the better served they will be. So as we continue to move forward, the cybersecurity education life cycle is expanding. We're starting to see a lot of K through 12 programs. Really exciting for me because I really think that we as a country have to really get down into the elementary school levels. I know that's difficult to understand, but we really do need to get there and then move into middle school and then all the way through high school. We're seeing a dual enrollment big push. I think there's a lot of relevancy there. There's also a lot of certificate-based programs, apprenticeship programs that are sponsored by the Department of Labor, and then a bridge to employment. So in wrapping up, Cyberbit is really committed to the success of the higher education vertical. We are announcing the Bridge program, which is really exciting. And essentially what it is Cyberbit customers that have gone through the range, they're going to be able to be part of a repository so that when organizations like a Verizon or CVS or Staples, they're looking for talent, they're going to be able to come into the Bridge program, look at the student, get a handle on how much experience have they really had? Have they gone through a ransomware attack? Are they familiar with the MITRE ATT&CK framework? Are they familiar with KSA&Ts? And then have they ever worked with Splunk, Carbon Black, or any of the other massive commercial tools that are out there? So that's a little bit of background about the work that we've been doing from a cybersecurity educational standpoint of view. We do appreciate it. Come by and visit us at booth number 32, and thank you.